I want to make something very clear. I hate drama. I hate influencer drama. I hate internet drama. I hate the theatrics of it. I can't stand it. And so I want to tell you something. The only reason that I'm going up against Crenshaw is I am sick and tired of watching government officials and people in high places try to silence and bully regular American citizens. I'm sick of seeing it. Somebody's got to stand up to this shit. It might as well be me. It might as well be me. Hopefully, he never, ever gets the opportunity to do this again. On December 9th, 2025, I received a legal demand letter from lawyers representing Congressman Dan Crenshaw. They are threatening to sue me for defamation because of comments I made on my podcast about a message that he sent me. So this all transpired from a conversation that I had with Tulsi Gabbard. And I was concerned, although I didn't mention his name in the interview, which you'll see. I was concerned. I wanted to know how a newer congressman can afford to hire a mainstream DJ, Steve Aoki, to spin at his 40th birthday party. I didn't just make this up. Somebody sent me the invitation that he had sent out to everybody for his 40th birthday. And so that's where I got this from. Anyways, here's the clip with Tulsi.
Is there any direct money? I mean, you see all these people, show up in Congress, the Senate, the cabinet, whatever. And, not wealthy.
Yeah.
And then, let's fast forward a couple years and they got Steve Aoki DJing their 40th birthday party. How does that happen?
I don't have firsthand experience in this. I have often questioned the same thing. I know a big factor is the insider trading that goes on in Congress. And again, some people will say, well, like, hey, I didn't know anything about this. I'm just making investments for my family, or my wife or my husband is making investments. I don't know anything about what's going on. Maybe they're being honest, maybe they're not. But the reality is you're in a position where you're making decisions either in committee or on the House floor that influence our markets, that influence the outcomes of certain industries, either causing some to tank or others to skyrocket. And the mere perception of insider trading shouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
This is legislation, again, I introduced in Congress years ago. No member of Congress should be allowed to do any trading of any stocks. Neither should their spouse, neither should their senior staff, period. These are the people who have access to proprietary private information that's not open to everybody in the public, or certainly before it becomes public. And the possibility of the abuse of power in trading on that information should not exist. It's interesting because as we're seeing, there are some members of Congress who say that share my view on that, but who are continuing to trade stocks themselves. The Senate just passed, I think, out of committee, its first step, legislation that would reflect similar to mine. I think they're banning members and their spouses. We'll see where it goes in the Senate. We've heard a lot of talk coming from leaders from both parties, but no action has been taken. That to me is the most obvious way that people are going from being elected and having no money, and you make $160,000 a year or whatever the salary is now, to literally becoming multimillionaires. That is the most obvious way. If there are kind of stringent requirements of financial reporting that every member has to do, certainly at least once a year, more often if you are actively trading in stocks. But I think it would be a little hard, not impossible, but a little hard if somebody's just coming and bringing you a sack of cash.
So after the conversation with Tulsi, that's when I got the text or the message on Instagram from Congressman Crenshaw that I find threatening, telling me he spoke with his boys at 6. Here's a screenshot.
Hey, Shawn.
You have the ability to contact your fellow team guy if you've got a problem with me or have questions about how I'm getting rich. Some of my boys at 6 told me about your indirect swipe at me. From the comment you made, it sounds like you have some beliefs that are based on trendy narratives instead of facts.
And just so you know, I mean, Dan does have a history of threatening people. Once again, here is Dan threatening to kill Tucker Carlson. And then again, he reaffirms that he's not joking.
Have you ever met Tucker?
We've talked a lot. If I ever meet him, he's the worst person.
Okay, so I get the message. I take it as extremely threatening. It is a tier 1 unit, the best, most effective tier 1 unit in the world, deadliest unit. But I don't do anything, I move on. And then a little over a year later, I'm interviewing, a member from SEAL Team 6. Maybe he's one of Dan's boys at 6. So he brought up the fact that he had asked a congressman with an eye patch, didn't want to mention his name, to help him with his book debacle. He received no aid. I filled in the blank. I said, you must be talking about Congressman Crenshaw. Let me share my experience with you, my interactions with Congressman Crenshaw. So I shared them. I told him about the Instagram message, and I told him that I found that threatening. And then I asked Matt if he was one of Dan's boys at 6. Maybe he was here to come beat me up. Matt assured me he wasn't. Here's the clip.
I'll give you another example. In the height of my issues, I contacted a former SEAL. I won't name names, but he has an eye patch, and he's a congressman out of a state.
You mean
council.
Dan Crenshaw?
I'm not naming names.
Another one of my
I
favorite
said,
people.
Sir, here's my situation.
You know, Dan actually sent me a message. I should fucking read this to you. But basically, he tells me, I brought something up about him, and I never even I gave him the courtesy of not even mentioning his fucking name. It was about his birthday party, where he hired Steve Aoki to DJ his birthday. I mean, that can't be fucking cheap, right? Especially on a congressman's salary. And I brought that up, and Dan sends me a message that says his boys over at 6 are really upset with me that I brought that up, and they might come
His
beat me up.
boys at 6.
His boys over at 6.
Well, to infer he's got.
I don't know why
boys
a
that are
congressman
under
would be
him
threatening
at
me with
6?
SEAL Team 6, but I'm still fucking waiting. This is actually a couple years
he's
old. I
threatened quite a
still
few
have not had my ass kicked by a couple of guys over at 6. But Dan Crenshaw, he fits with all these fucking people you're talking about.
So I called him, right? He's a sitting congressman. He's a former officer. And, drum roll please, he was getting ready to release his book. So I called him up. I get a conversation with him. I said, sir, here's my situation. I hired an attorney. The attorney gave me bad advice. Book was published. I've given up attorney-client privilege, cooperated everything I can to fix this. They've still come after me. We can get into all the other stuff that I'm dealing with. I said, sir, can you help me out with this? He's like, well, I'm about ready to publish my book, and I'm not getting it reviewed. I'm like, well, sir, same letter of the law that they came after me for, failure to seek pre-publication review. I didn't get pre-publication review because my lawyer told me I didn't have to, and he could do it. Like in your case, you have to get it reviewed. I'm here telling you, confirming you have to get reviewed or the government's going to come after you. He's like, but I'm not going to write anything classified in my book. I'm like, there's nothing classified in my book. They said there was, they went through it. They said, nope, there's nothing classified in it. You just failed to seek review. I'm like, so if only thing I failed to do was seek review, you're willingly going around that obligation and you don't give a shit. He's like, yeah, but I'm not going to write about anything classified in my book. That was his answer. Never talked to him again. So he published his book, no review, nothing's happened. He's kept his money. He's a sitting congressman. I got a payment plan. So to say I've been a little...
I guess you're not one of Dan's boys over at 6. That's gonna come
Definitely not
beat me
Dan's
up, huh?
boys at 6. That's a pretty ridiculous statement if I've ever heard one.